Good morning and welcome back, geographers. So today we're going to continue to explore glaciers and specifically how these massive ice bodies form and move across the landscape. While glaciers may appear to be static and not moving, glaciers are very dynamic systems that require specific conditions to develop and persist. All right, slides are coming. Excellent. Okay, for a glacier to form, we need a very specific set of circumstances. The most basic requirement is a net year-to-year accumulation of snow. This means more snow must fall each winter than melts during the summer. So when new snow falls, it begins to compress the older layers beneath it. This compression is crucial. It starts the transformation from fluffy snowflakes to solid glacial ice. This transformation happens in stages. First, the snow becomes what we call firn or neve. These are snow granules that have become packed together through compression. Firn has a density of about half that of water, and you can think of it as the teenage stage between fresh snow and glacial ice. It's the in-between stage. In places like Juneau Icefield in Alaska, researchers can dig pits showing these distinct layers of transformation. Over time, with continued compression, air spaces between the granules are eliminated, and the firn transforms into true glacial ice. This process can take anywhere from a few years to several decades, depending on conditions. Now, the survival of a glacier depends on a delicate balance between two processes. The first is accumulation. This is the addition of ice into a glacier by incorporating snow. This happens primarily in winter months and at higher elevations. The second is ablation. This is the melting and sublimation when ice transforms directly from solid to vapor. This occurs mainly during summer months and at lower elevations. The boundary between these two zones is called the equilibrium line, a theoretical line where accumulation exactly balances ablation. Above this line is the accumulation zone, where more snow is added each year than is lost. And below the ablation zone is where more ice is lost than is gained annually. This equilibrium line shifts up and down the glacier each year depending on climate conditions. In recent decades, we've seen this line moving up higher and higher many glaciers worldwide due to climate change, shrinking the accumulation zones. Though glaciers might seem like frozen rivers, their movement is actually quite different from liquid flow. While river water flows in a disordered, turbulent fashion, glacial movement is much more orderly. Under the immense pressure within a glacier, ice behaves somewhat like a plastic material. It deforms rather than breaks. However, this flow is far from uniform. All parts of a glacier don't move at the same rate. The fastest movement typically occurs at and near the surface of a glacier. For valley glaciers like Mer de Glace, which means the Sea of Ice in French, it's located in the French Alps. So for valley glaciers, the center moves faster than the sides, similar to a river, but for different physical reasons. The sides experience more friction against the valley walls, slowing them down. It's crucial to distinguish between glacial flow and glacier advance. Flow refers to the continual movement of, excuse me, the continual movement of ice toward the edges of the glacier. Advance describes the forward movement of the outer margin of the glacial body. Even when a glacier is retreating, the ice within it is still flowing downhill. The Mendenhall Glacier near Juneau, Alaska, demonstrates this perfectly. Its ice flows forward constantly, yet its terminus has retreated over a mile in the past century due to melting, melting exceeding the rate of forward movement. This balance between formation, accumulation, and movement is what makes glaciers such sensitive indicators of climate change. Each glacier tells a story of the delicate interplay between temperature, precipitation, and time. So to wrap up this section, I'm going to wrap it up. So in our next lecture, we're going to explore how these moving masses of ice transform our landscape through erosion and deposition. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.